All right. This is Devon for round 12. Tonight we go from 6 to 5, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see where we go. If these guys were smart in my eyes, they would probably think about picking me off. I made a couple rounds ago. I obviously made a big move by targeting Emily instead of targeting the duo of Austin and JG. That could come back to haunt me tonight just because Rocky's not very talkative with me. Eddie's not very talkative with me. But on the bright side, I'm getting Ben and Patrick who want to call with me, and they're basically saying, let's talk later tonight so we can talk about live night. So at the worst, it sounds like it's going to be a 3-3 vote. But I don't see any reason for Eddie to target me tonight. I think it's pretty easily going to be JG, which sucks because I was supposed to be talking to Eddie about a potential flip against either Rocky or Ben, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be in the cards, which is a good thing anyways because I would much rather just go to the 5. Um, my prediction right now is JG goes at 6. Rocky, if he doesn't win immunity, goes at 5. And then right then and there, I sort of have to decide between whether I'm going to stick to my final 3 deal between me, Patrick, and Ben, or whether it's going to be me, Patrick, and Eddie. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see. Right now, tonight, I'm just thinking about, how I can survive, who I have to talk to secure that JG doesn't slip through the cracks and try to get me out. But yeah, I feel okay. I was a little bit nervous about 24 hours ago when nobody was really talking to me, or 12 hours ago, or whatever it is. But yeah, right now I feel pretty content that it's going to be a unanimous vote, but crazier things have happened in this game. So I'll take any questions.
So you mentioned that you're going to have to basically choose between you and your 2 groups or whatever. So let's just theoretically say, both sets of groups come to you with 2 different plans for tonight. Who would you more want to work with tonight with one of those groups? Like, if they were just, 2 drastically different plans, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. So the 2 groups, I guess, there's not even really 2 groups right now. It's a unanimous vote against JG. But at the same time, going into this round, Eddie was trying to talk to me about potentially flipping on Rocky or Ben. So really, if you had to split up into 2 groups, it would be Ben and Patrick and Rocky against JG and Eddie, I guess. Ideally, I would like to work with both JG and Eddie, but at this point, it seems too late for it to happen. It seems like Eddie sort of just laid down because he had work and he was pretty busy, so he didn't have time to strategize it all this round. And I was sort of the same way. So yeah, right now it's not really about which side do I want to pick and choose to work with because there's only really one presented plan, which is let's unanimously vote out JG. So right now, especially with 6 people, you just need to do whatever it takes for it to not be yourself going home. So if it has to be JG, it's definitely someone that I've been working really, really close with. But at the same time, I need to be able to protect myself. And if I stand out like a sore thumb, it makes me an easy target for either tonight or for the next round.
So there's been a lot of talk about the finals, and I know you've been throwing out to people maybe it's a kind of a head-to-head battle. There's also a lot of people thinking it's a jury. What is your ideal final 2 or final 3 situation for both scenarios?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good question. So I've been basically telling people that it's going to come down to a competition, which really plays well into my hand, which would be the fact that I haven't won a single competition and I've intentionally been throwing multiple Emperor competitions just so people don't see me as a threat. So anyone would be crazy to say, okay, if I want to win this game, at the final 3, I would cut my closest ally just to bring Devon to the end. That way I can get the free win. When essentially I'm pretty good with endurance and puzzles and flash games. The only thing I'm not going to be good at is memory competitions or speed competitions or anything crazy like that. So ideally, if the setting was that we had to go in a head-to-head competition, I would want most to take Patrick just because he's sort of in that same boat as me. I think he's been throwing competitions, and when he hasn't been throwing competitions, he hasn't really stood out from the rest. But if you look at it, Ben's a competition beast, Eddie's a competition beast, Rocky's the same exact way. And JG is the same exact way. So I really have no choice but to take Patrick in that scenario. And if this comes down to a jury, that's a really tough call because no matter who I take, there's always going to be free votes for that person. But I feel like I could present my case in front of just about anybody and have a good shot. But if I want to maximize my position, I would probably want once again to go up against Patrick. And it's just a shame because I don't think I'm Patrick's final two. I think Patrick's a lot closer with Ben. So really right now I'm playing myself into the final three, but at that final three, I need to win that competition because if I don't, I think the only person that would take me to the end is Eddie. But Eddie, once again, is a competition beast. So if this comes down to I have to compete against Eddie, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for me. So that's why I'm sort of contemplating this path of maybe I can get it to me, Patrick, and Eddie. That way I have both Patrick and Eddie taking me to the end, as opposed to Ben, where I feel like Ben and Patrick would sort of take each other. So it's definitely a tricky scenario, and not knowing what the final two or final three setting is awfully tricky as well. But right now, I sort of have this mindset of I need to get to the final two as opposed to the final three, just in case.
So kind of like Matthew was saying, you're kind of in this group with Ben and Patrick. You're in this group kind of with Eddie and a little bit with Rocky. If you come down to being the deciding vote next round, have you decided where that's going to be? I'm guessing Patrick will not be your target based on what you just said.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you look at my whole entire game, it's been surrounded by taking out people that it sounds really bad, but I've been sort of targeting these people that are favorited by the Viewers Lounge just because you can sort of translate where the Viewers Lounge has their pre-picked people, and a lot of these people that are rooting for Rocky, for example, probably know Rocky's game, so the further that Rocky gets, his followership also gets built up rather quickly. So that just shows me right there that Rocky's a very dangerous player, whether the Viewers Lounge is seeing certain confessionals or whether they're seeing certain moves that are being played by him. He's definitely a threat. And for Rocky specifically, a couple of rounds ago, he was telling Austin and JG to target me. He said that their best bet of staying would be to vote me. I think he was sort of trying to deflect it off of himself. And then he came to me and he said, well, I was being 100% honest with you the whole entire time. And then I sort of confronted him about it. So Rocky and I are good right now. But I think in the back of his mind, he doesn't trust me. And I think he knows at the back of my mind, I don't trust him. But we've needed each other in order to knock out Austin. We've needed each other to knock out JG. Next round, he's definitely going to be coming from me. I would be the fifth wheel to his four. He is very intimidating just because he's very close with Ben as well. So I'm sort of nervous that there's a scenario where Ben and Patrick don't want to take me to 3. They might want to just take me to 5 and then take Rocky with them at 3. But yeah, all these numbers are constantly running through my head. But if I had the choice between working with Eddie and Rocky and Ben and Patrick, I'd be crazy to work with Eddie and Rocky. My goal right now is to split up Eddie and Rocky at 5, take out Rocky. That way Eddie's isolated and only working with me. And then all of a sudden at the 4, flip it over and break up Ben and Patrick. Hopefully take out Ben because he's another competition beast that has a very good resume. And even if this was a jury vote, he would have a lot of votes just because he's a very straightforward player. So yeah, I would try to split up both couples. That way at the final 3, I'm sitting pretty good.
And I think I have just one more question piggybacking off what you were saying.
Sure.
So this game has always been what I refer to as like an open format. You've always been able to talk to everybody. Everyone's in the viewer or everybody's in the Facebook page. All the eliminations are public to everyone. Has that impacted how you play this game? How things aren't as private and close to the chest?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I like the little twist too where you can talk to just about anyone. It was pretty slow at the beginning of this game because I wasn't sure about what the rules were and I sort of had to catch on. But yeah, I've definitely been basing my game off of what the Viewers Lounge has been wanting. I see who they root for and I essentially try to take out those people. I've never been someone to go after any small targets. If you go back and look at all my voting history, not a single player I vote out is a non-threat in this game. if you look back at it, the most memorable first vote that I had was against Allie. And then all of a sudden you move forward. We voted out RJ, we voted out Jess, we voted out Logan. And then when all of a sudden everyone merged, and then we took out Adam, which was a big move. We took out all these other people. So I've really been looking at who people are commenting every time, like we get to the final 8, let's say, and we're saying, all right, who are you guys rooting for? If people are saying, let's go Austin, I'm okay, he's playing a really good game. So it's sort of a reality check. In the game, you're so isolated, and you feel like the only thing you have are these conversations that you have with people. But in this game specifically, you have the resource of, okay, let me reflect back onto the Ascendance Facebook group. Let me see, what the Viewers Lounge thinks. Let me see who they're rooting for. Let me see who gets the most mentions. And you'll see that I'm not getting a lot of mentions. You'll see Patrick's not getting a lot of mentions. And you'll see Ben doesn't really get that many mentions either. But people that do get a lot are people like Rocky, people like Eddie, which means they're a lot more skilled and a lot more talented than they lead on. So yeah, it definitely does shape the way that I play, but in a good way.
So if it's a fan favorite vote to win, you are very informed about what's going on, it sounds like.
Yeah, if this is a fan favorite to win, I'm definitely a little bit nervous because that means I haven't really looked into that route, just because I've never played in a setting before that has a fan favorite at the very end. But I'm hoping that I can just play the best game possible, and then people that can respect that at least. But yeah, I'm not too worried about a fan vote either, as long as I'm sitting next to the right person. But that would have to, I don't even know who that would have to be, because that would have to be against Patrick or Ben for me to win, because I don't think I could sit next to Eddie or Rocky without getting absolutely demolished.
Okay, any final thoughts to wrap it up?
No, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to elimination tonight, but I'm wishing the best for myself. I'm wishing the best for you guys. If this is some sort of flip and some sort of blindside, then it's been real. If not, then I'm looking forward to live night tomorrow.
All right, I think that's all.
All right, thank you.